Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Mr. KG. Today we are going to be talking about linguistics. Now, for those of you who haven't heard of it, linguistics is a social science. It's in the same realm as like psychology or economics, believe it or not. And what it does basically is it studies the structure of language, so how language actually works, whether it's spoken or signed or anything along those lines. It's all You can all look at it through a linguistic lens. Linguistics spans everything from individual sounds, which is what we're going to be talking about today, all the way to complex meaning. So, like, how do you know if something is true in just a sentence? Stuff like that. Today, as I mentioned, we're talking about phonology, which is the study of how sounds work and change within a language. And today we're mainly focusing on consonants. This is a senior class. This is not the easiest thing on earth to understand at first, which is why I saved it for all of you lucky seniors. Um, we're going to have a good amount of interactive stuff. I have got some links for you to look out, and we're going to be playing with our hands and our mouths a little bit. So be excited for that. Anyway, without further ado, intro to phonology. All right. As always, we're going to start out with a do now. What I'd like you to do is take the next 2 minutes and answer the following question on the worksheets that you have linked for all of you there. What is your favorite sound and why? Now, kind of a weird question, I know. You can interpret this however you want. If by sound you immediately go to like, you love the sound of laughter. Awesome. Tell me why. If you prefer to go a little more specific, like your favorite sound is or or some other sort of speech sound like that, tell me that and tell me why. This is a senior class. I expect all of you to be able to uh, synthesize your ideas and get them down relatively quickly. So you have 2 minutes to give me at least 5 sentences using proper grammar and punctuation. Afterwards, we'll have a brief discussion based off of what you write down in the chat. So go ahead and answer on the worksheet. And then just in like a couple sentences, tell me what you wrote in the chat. All right, your 2 minutes begins now. Okay. Awesome work, everybody. Loved seeing the typing, seeing little things come up in the chat. So beautiful stuff. Thank you. Let's see. We're only going to look at two of these. So first one, my favorite sound is the sound of a toilet flushing. Very funny. Um, I'm not even going to read the why. Let's see. Second one, ooh, here's a good one. My favorite sound is wah. I'm assuming that's what you wrote W, but I'm assuming you mean wah. Very interesting stuff. Why is that your favorite? That's a good point. And actually, if we have a little bit of time today, we'll talk about how like physically what's going on, the war, you have to like open your lips a little bit. So way to get ahead of me on that. Nice stuff. Okay, that's our do now. Moving on. Okay, so phonology in general is the study of speech sounds or signs in any given language. They range from relatively simple t, s. You'll find those in languages all over the world, to some more complicated ones like which is my favorite sound, which is not very common. You can only find it in a couple languages. Phonology looks at sounds and signs on their own, but also in how they change in a language. So in English, the plural is made with this S shape, right? So if you look at a word like cats, that S is pronounced as a S. But if you look at a word like dogs, that S is pronounced like a Z. Phonology looks at why that is the case. So, whoops, there we go. Moving on. Okay. Phonology and practice, learning how to speak. The easiest way to learn how to do this is by learning how to read something called the International Phonetic Alphabet Chart. Now, you may be aware of what this is without even knowing it. So if you've ever looked up like a word in the dictionary and you see this like upside down E looking thing, that's part of the IPA. That sound specifically makes an sound and is very common in languages. So things that you'll need, and all these are linked for you on the worksheets there. You will need a copy of the IPA chart. You will need a working pair of lungs. You will need a mouth. You will need a nose, and you will need vocal cords. So really, all you need really is this IPA chart. Let me show you how to read this. So there are three big important things that you need to keep in mind when you are trying to make a speech sound. And I will show you what they are right now. You need to know where your tongue is. You need to know where the air is going. And you need to know what your vocal folds are doing. So, in order to practice this, let's look at the letters D, T, S, and Z. Now, when you are doing this, you need to do D, T, S, Z, not D, T, S, none of that. Just the letter. Sorry, just the sound. Okay. All right. The IPA chart. Here we go. So this is what this looks like. If this is a whole bunch of weird symbols, it should be. If you're not sure what these are, that's fine. Notice there are a couple that look like letters that you know. Some, if you know like Greek, may also look like that. But then you end up with like this thing. And as far as I know, that's not a thing in any language. The three important things that we need to look at. So over here, this is where is your tongue? So bilabial. Labial means lips. Bi means two. So those are the sounds that you make with your lips. And you can see p, b, m. There you go. Labiodental, teeth, tongue. Touch them together. See how that works? Dental, that's your teeth. Um, alveolar. So if you take your tongue, touch it to the back of your teeth, and then slightly move it back, you feel that weird little ridge thing? That's your alveolar ridge. And that's where you're going to make t, t, n, r, etc. But also s and z. Interesting. And it goes all the way back until you get to your uvula and then your glottis. Feel how it's all the way down here? Glottis. Okay, now that we have a general understanding, let's do this activity. So we're going to look at some regular, simple sounds in English and Spanish to see if we can figure out where those three criteria are. Sorry, this has been bothering me. There we go. What I'd like you to do after each example, go ahead and click on this link. Again, this is on the worksheet for you as well. We're going to ignore this bit about the vowels, and instead we're going to look down here at the consonants. Now, you could ignore all this stuff here. We kind of know what this means. This has to do with like where the air is coming. So plosive is like an explosion. Bah, that kind of a thing. Nasal, it's coming through your nose. You can try making an sound and then plug your nose. Can't do it because it's coming out of your nose. Fricatives, those are sounds that just keep going forever. Etc. The rest of these are a little more complicated, and we're not going to focus on them too much for today. Let me move this out of the way. There we go. Okay, so again, we're going to test these out, and you're going to use that chart to help. Okay, moving on. All right, so find t, t, s, and z on the IPA chart. And then remember the three different categories that we're looking for. So where is the tongue? Where is the air? What are your vocal cords doing? I skipped this bit, and I'm sorry for that. So if you go and make the S and the Z sound, put your hand on your throat. The only difference is that you'll start to vibrate your vocal cords. Um, if you are doing that, it's voiced. If you're not, it's voiceless. So that's going to be the difference between t, d, s, z, and you'll see that. So where is your tongue? Where is the air going in your mouth? And what are your vocal cords doing? So everybody go ahead and go like this. Start with the T sound. Okay. Once you think you've got it, go ahead and type in the chat and we'll check it all together. Okay. Where's the tongue in your mouth? I've got touching your teeth. Okay, cool. I've got right behind your teeth in that ridge thing. Yeah, way to remember the alveolar ridge. Nice stuff. Where's the air going? So this one seems to be tripping people up a little bit. What I mean by that is like, remember we were doing the difference between plosives, nasals, and fricatives, right? So when you do, notice how you can't go forever. It stops. It's one little explosion. So in that instance, it'd be a plosive. And remember, you can always go back and look at the earlier chart or the one that you have linked for you if you need to. So with that in mind, okay, cool. We see that it's plosive. Excellent. Don't feel anything vibrating there. So it must be alveolar, plosive, voiceless. Now, for those of you who looked down here first and saw all the answers, clever, but just because you saw it doesn't mean that you understand it. So let's test our hypothesis. Alveolar, plosive, voiceless. So first thing we're going to do, whoops, is find alveolar. There we go. Check it out. We've got the T. Then we're going to find plosive. And then notice how it's on the right-hand side here. That means that it's voiceless. And you can double check this with the P and the B. So let's see if this sounds correct. Da, ata. Yeah, that sounds like a T to me. Okay, excellent. There are a couple more of these exercises. They're listed for you on the worksheet and on the slides. I'm going to give you some time to go through them now. Okay. Um, Congratulations. You know roughly how to read an IPA chart and how to make basic consonantal speech sounds. Tomorrow is going to be building off of this. We're going to be looking at vowels, which are actually quite a bit more complicated. So get ready for that. In preparation, I would just continue going about looking at the IPA chart. You can make little games out of this with your friends. I used to do that in college. Yeah, and if you need anything, you can always send me an email or stick around in the chat for a little bit. I'll be here for about 10 more minutes if you need me. Have a lovely rest of your day, everybody.